the 25th dynasty, the Kushites. And we start off with the first ruler, Pi. He ruled from Napata and Kush. Pi united the northern pharaohs of Egypt against the Assyrians, and that happened in 720 BCE. They tried to support a rebellion in Gaza and it failed. So it's another second defeat against the Assyrians. So what was so great about the Assyrians? Well, they had access to forests to make charcoal, and with charcoal you could make iron. So their weapons are far more superior. Remember, Egypt always had a problem getting timber. They relied on their supplies from Byblos, which is now in Assyrian hands. So smelting iron in that part of the world of North Africa and Canaan and the retinue is really under the control of the Assyrians. Pi had a crack at the Assyrians and failed. The second ruler of the 25th dynasty was Shebeku, and Shebeku united Upper and Lower Egypt into the Nebtawi. He moved the capital to Memphis in around about sort of 707 to 706 BCE. Now that's quite a reliable date because we get that from the Assyrians. They recorded that there was a Nebtawi, a lord of two lands, called Shebeku in 707 to 706 BCE. So Shabaka comes along, he's the third ruler. He becomes the first priest of Amun. He supported another rebellion against the Assyrians at Ashdod, and unfortunately that rebellion was crushed too. After his reign, Takara comes along. Takara establishes his capital at Memphis rather than Waset. He refurbished the sacred lakes at Karnak and also built a kiosk at Karnak, which is in the first court. At 700 BCE, an alliance with the Semitic states of Canaan to take on the Assyrians, and it failed. Unfortunately, the Assyrians invaded Egypt. They sacked Memphis and they sacked Thebes, and he retreated back into Kush. Egypt then becomes a puppet state under the 26th dynasty. So the 26th dynasty kings were Egyptians, probably of mixed heritage anyway, because they're in Lower Egypt from the times of the 18th dynasty onwards, when foreigners came to Egypt as prisoners, settled, and then their generations intermixed with the Egyptian civilization. They ruled Egypt, the 26th dynasty, from Memphis, and they were really puppet kings of the Assyrian Empire. The last ruler of Kush was Tant Anini, and he tried to retake Egypt and was defeated by the Assyrians. This time it was Santak I who had crack Assyrian troops. Santak I was an Egyptian pharaoh who was ruling on behalf of the Assyrian Empire, and he pushed the Kushites back into Kush. So the 25th dynasty is Kushite. They established their civilization in Kush, and they built pyramids. They copied their Egyptian ancestors, if you could say that. And these pyramids are a lot different from the ones that the Egyptians built. First of all, they've got a very steep angle. If you look at the pictures of El Kuru, which is where they built these pyramids for these different kings, they're a very steep angle, and they're solid structures. So what you have is you have a descending passageway going under the ground to a burial chamber. Now, whether or not they had any understanding of the Egyptian religion is unknown. All we know is that they were Egyptianized by Ramesses II. Do you remember when Ramesses II was around and he built all those temples to Amun and himself in Kush? That was to encourage the Kushites to become Egyptianized. And that was the mandate that this dynasty, this 25th dynasty, used to invade Egypt. They said that they were the followers of Amun. Anyway, they retreated back into Kush, and Kush became a successful civilization on its own from that time onwards, for another 100-200 years. The last dynasty in this third intermediate period is the 26th dynasty. Assyrian backed and controlled by Egyptianized pharaohs. Santak I. He was the one who expelled the Kushites and united Upper and Lower Egypt together. He's not to be ignored because he ruled Egypt for 54 years. So he must have been an able person to do that and to control those two different parts of the country. After him comes Necho II, not really notable, but he's the second king of this 26th dynasty. Then comes Santak II. Well, again, not really notable. Not much happened during these reigns. Wabri and Ahmose II, now they did have some problems. The Libyans were under attack from the Dorians, and the Dorians were really the Spartans. The Spartans were originally Dorians, so maybe the Spartans are using their navy more as pirates to raid Libya. Anyway, Egypt tried to support this invasion and their army got mauled, which was not good at all. So there was a lot of problems with the changing world at that time, because on the horizon Assyria has fallen and the Persian Empire has come into its own, and it's now on the doorstep of Egypt. Because when Ahmose II died, he was succeeded by Santak III. He only ruled Egypt for 6 months, and that's because in 525 BCE, he faced the Persian navy and army at Pelusium, and unfortunately he lost the battle. He retreated to Memphis, where he was captured, and he was taken to Susa in Persia. And that brings the end of the 26th dynasty and the third intermediate period. Next up will be the first Persian dynasty, which starts with Cambyses II. So if you enjoyed this video, please press your subscribe button. Thumbs up if you liked it, and please leave any comments, and I'll see you real soon. Bye for now.